And good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third Sunday brunch. And today we have All Shorts, we have Political X once again, and we have the track record. So maybe I'd like because there's a new guy some people maybe are not familiar with. Maybe track record. Could you tell us a little bit about your channel, and then we'll get into the discussion of today.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Simon. I run a channel called The Track Record. So I focus on a lot of UK politics, but also some geopolitics. I try and do some Vox style reporting, so including a lot of animations and stuff. It's quite a new project at the moment, but I'm growing it. So yeah, check it out.
Fantastic. All Shorts is an old favorite, but maybe if you want to say something about what you're doing at the moment, All Shorts.
Well, at the moment, I've been coughing and spluttering because I got COVID.
Oh, we're having a little technical problem. Unfortunately, these things are a little bit beyond my control.
Helped her put a bag up into the old overlock. I did. Being the gentleman that I am. And she says, "Thank you, All Shorts." What? What's the odds of that? I was in shock. Yeah, so
Okay.
okay. What do you want? No,
how do you find it coming through customs, right? Because how do you find the UK entry point and everything?
Coming into
COVID compared to where you are.
Okay, coming into the UK, I was into Stansted, where we landed. And coming through the checkpoint, you first got your little passport, you put it on top of the little scan, and you got your mask on and your hat on, and then an error comes up, and you realise, oh bloody, I've been an idiot. So I took my hat off and my mask off, and then it worked. And you just walk through these little gates. That's pretty much it. Then you put your bags. Just hardly anything at all, to be honest. Coming into the UK, but coming back into France, you've obviously got your locator forms in the UK as well, haven't you? Which you do online and print them off. But coming out to France is actually quite easy regarding the locator forms. You have a printed off sheet which you can fill in by hand to say, "No, I haven't got COVID. I haven't been near anyone with COVID." Lie. I won't get home. And to be fair, actually, that morning I did test myself and I was negative. But it takes a few days, doesn't it, to show? So I found out afterwards anyway. But come back into the UK, it was actually back to France was actually relatively easy actually, so that wasn't too bad. But on the whole experience in the UK for me was just a rat race, an absolute rat race. And I was doing some live streaming around Norwich in my hometown, home city, and some of the people I was coming across, one young lad I came across, I asked him about, how do you feel about Brexit? He says, he goes, well, to be fair, I actually voted out. He goes, he's only about, 25, 26, I voted out. And I was like, so why would you have done that? Well, why would you do that? What made you put that cross in the wrong box? I go. And he says, well, I can't remember. I thought, okay, that says it all. And then I went to see our favourite puppet man, the puppet man in Norwich. He stands there on Gentleman's Walk in Norwich. He's got like a rabbit on his hand. He's just literally doing this with music on in the background. He's doing this. Yeah, literally. If you word of a lie, check it out, Puppet Man Norwich. So he's just got to ask him. So he asked about my T-shirt. He said, "Go out to him and start talking to him," as I do. And I had my Boris Johnson T-shirt on. And it says around there, it says, "Those who vote for an idiot are well represented." Gandhi. And so I asked him, "How do you feel about Boris Johnson?" But he's doing the best that he can. He's saying is in very Norfolk he was, and he's doing the best that he can. He is. He's only a man, He's only a man. Oh God, it says it all. I think we're doomed in Norwich. We are. We lost against the Russian team. I mean, Chelsea. So.
Brutal.
Chelsea. So, guys, I'd like to start out just, of course, we're going to be on for about an hour. We'll try and cover as much as we can. I just want to get your take on what's happening in Ukraine. What do you think is what do you think is the end game here? Simon, we'll start with Simon, maybe. What's your take on this?
Well, the trouble is Russia is a nuclear power. And I see NATO avoiding direct contact with another nuclear power at all costs. And I also don't see Putin backing down. And the horrible kind of end conclusion of that is probably eventually Ukraine will fall, and he will put in place a puppet government.
We're having technical problems again. All sorts. Would you like to take?
And
okay.
what? Yeah.
him.
So I do think, unfortunately, a puppet government is a likely outcome of that.
Yeah. Is that because you think he'll just keep going with his troops and they'll slowly smash their way through? Is that why you think?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think I can see NATO offering arms, but I can't see any NATO state engaging in direct contact. And although the Russian military is pretty old and pretty outdated and running on a lot of old Soviet stuff, it is just simply a bigger power than Ukraine. And anyone that's deranged enough to start this conflict, I don't see them turning around in 2 weeks' time and going, "Oh, that was a bad idea. All right, come home, lads." It's a depressing conclusion. It's not the conclusion I'd like to reach, but if I was going to put my money on an outcome, it would probably be that. Yeah. What about you guys?
Sorry, go on.
So you're talking about outcome as in the near future. What about the long-term future of this? Because not be funny, but you're going to have a population in Ukraine that hasn't. Well, it's going to be a one-sided. Regarding there's going to be women, maybe few children, but no men. So that causes a further, ongoing issue. We know that Ukraine is an agricultural, especially in the West, Ukraine is very agricultural. Who's going to farm this stuff? Where's the economy? How are we going to rebuild a country which, quite frankly, has got no economy? Even if Russia pulls out, they've obliterated it. It's got nothing there now.
I can see them perhaps trying to move in their own citizens a bit further, kind of Israel-Palestine type situation. I mean, they've already got a significant Russian population in Crimea, Donetsk and Luhansk. I can see them encouraging those individuals to settle further into the nation, perhaps.
Yeah, but also Ukraine.
Sorry, all short. You're breaking up a bit.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch that.
So they've got a huge agricultural base who's supplying the West. Who's going to be buying this grain, sunflower oil, chicken? I don't know if it's chlorinated or not, but chicken and all that sort of stuff from Ukraine if it's been inhabited by Russia.
Well, I think Putin would be very happy if that trade started turning eastwards.
Yeah.
Although
but then you've got a circular economy. Then what are they going to pay with it? The whole point of an economy is to bring money into the country, not just to keep bringing it around in circles. You've got to bring the money in, so you have to trade with outside. There's no.
No. Oh, sure. You don't understand Brexit then. On a serious matter, but it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think the idea of just bringing people into the country. I don't know how that's, that could have worked before, but I'm just looking at these republics in the east of Ukraine. How is, they will require funding, and the Russian economy has collapsed basically. They recently the government.
How do you rebuild it?
Yeah.
How do you
rebuild it?
I don't even think it was a stable economy in the first place. It looked to me as if they just ripped everything out of the economy and given it to a few who then took it abroad and did whatever they want with it. Super yachts, football clubs.
Just something, just on the idea of super yachts, on the issue of super yachts. I don't know if you guys saw the news this week where the Italian state seized
Putin's yacht.
Yeah, well, I don't. Well, not Putin's, but one of the guys.
Several of them have got, haven't they? Some have been held in Germany. Alicia, I can't remember his company's surname, but Alicia is held in Germany because it's been refitted there. So they've kind of stopped it. The Italians went and boarded another one, didn't they?
Yeah.
The French have got one of Putin's yachts.
Oh, it was the French?
Yeah.
I thought the one in Italy was also Putin's as well, which reputed to be like 500 million. Did anyone?
Yeah, but I don't think it's Putin's. No, it's not Putin's.
I think that was actually. Okay. No, I think that's Branovich, isn't it? The one in Italy.
No, it's
the things they've all got like 2 or 3 of these things, haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've just put it out there. If you got more than one super yacht, you've got too much money. You know?
But also
after the first super yacht, you should be taxed more.
But I was just thinking about this one that was seized in Italy. It's worth about 500 million euros, and I was thinking, like how many low cost accommodation could you build with that?
I think you're not thinking about the bigger picture. You've got to have a ship big enough to take 2 helipads.
But it's
if in case you want to like sort of race all the way across Europe and back, so therefore you can actually time it and everything. That is probably the level that we're dealing with. I do remember Putin. There was a claim. It must have been 10 years ago. I read the article. There was a claim that Putin had converted an aircraft carrier into his own personal super yacht, and within that, on the top of the deck, he put a motor kart racing track over the top deck. Like, this is just crazy. But you read stuff like that and you're going, oh, the Russian economy must be doing well. And it's like, no, that's why it's not doing well.
Yeah,
it's from these like insane projects.
And then we thought Saddam Hussein with gold taps was bad.
But when you got Navalny, he made that quite clear with that big, that £1 billion mansion that was built. Or how many billions it is, I don't know. Putin's place, Putin's palace,
with a golden toilet and a gold tooth.
Well, they've all got golden toilets. They're trying to keep up with Trump, aren't they?
Yeah.
Alex, what's your take on this? What do you think is the end result of all of this?
What do I think is the end result? It depends on. So, from a historical warfare perspective, the longer you held out with a guerrilla warfare strategy, the opposite power will ultimately lose. Doesn't matter how big they are, doesn't matter how much money they have, how sophisticated the military is, or weapons that they have. The longer you hold out, the more money they pump in, and it just becomes a negative on the economy. The hacking that's been going on, which I've talked about every week, is enormous. It's more than is being reported in the media. I don't think they are following it. I'm not sure why. It could be security reasons, promotion of that type of thing, encouraging citizens to get involved in that could be putting them off from reporting it, which is understandable because it looks like Putin's nervous. But the stuff that's going on. There's a phone campaign. Are you aware of this? And I will come back to answering the question. You aware of this phone campaign that the group Anonymous have set up? So you go onto their Twitter feed and you click on this link, and it allows you to send text messages directly to Russian citizens. And they even have pre-made messages stating stuff about Putin. But the point is that you're actually directly communicating with people who can read this without any fear of being caught. They might not agree with you.
Have you tried it yet?
Have I tried it? Oh, yeah. I totally said that.
But isn't there a language barrier there?
They translate the message for you. I mean, you can Google.
Or you can type whatever you like, and it does a Google Translate job, does it?
Or does it have a set number of like a set phrases you can use? You can select it. Like you can select a phrase
you can also
in English.
Google Translate yourself in order to get your own message across. Or you can send videos, because once you've got them on WhatsApp, you can send videos of what's actually taking place in Ukraine. But of course, there was a YouTuber recently this week who said that his father's in Russia and he's in Ukraine, and he claims his father doesn't believe him when talking to him about what's actually taking place.
Oh, I saw that.
But I'm a bit like, is he just saying that to his son because he doesn't believe it and the propaganda's that thick, or is he saying it because he's worried that the phone lines are tapped? Any phone call coming into the country.
15 years.
We all know what the KGB is capable of. Yeah. Like we've all seen what they were doing in East Germany and in the Eastern Europe states, and tapping everyone, making people disappear. I mean, Stalin set that trend, and it's been going forever. But personally, I've got a bit more hope. I'm always optimistic, and I think going back to the question, I think with all these things going on, including the hacking and everything else, I think it's a marriage, and the economy tanking, which is already in a terrible state. The attitudes of the Russians, spring's coming, which is going to turn up the turf and make all the equipment harder to move. I think his days are numbered. It's too big a state to hold. You know, you're talking about 500,000 troops. He's very effective at controlling population. But this population have already gone, we don't trust you, we don't like you, we will kill you, we will stand up to you. And they seem to be hard as nails. There was a...
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else's thoughts on that? I think I've said my piece.
All shorts?
Matt?
No, it's yeah, go ahead.
I tend to agree with X, really. At the end of the day, the people have got so much stamina with this issue. It's their home. Yeah. They're just got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and go further underground. The only problem I could see is that even though Russia's military is relatively old in the sense of what they've sent in so far, they've only hit on about 5% of their military capability regarding the invasion. But Ukraine's using, the people of Ukraine are using old tactics, like they're digging trenches and stuff like that. But the armaments now, they go straight down. So quite easy, especially these thermo missiles, what have you. They're just obliterated, just ripped the insides out from the bodies. It's just horrendous. So what fighting that kind of military and that kind of power with limited means, it's. I'm sorry, but I just think we're going to lose them all, to be honest. Us on the West, we need to do more. I don't know what. And there's obviously the nuclear threat, but I just feel so sad, And you see little kids and what have you been murdered, effectively. That's what it is. They say humanitarian routes, and then they're shooting them in their cars.
Yeah.
It's just lip service. It's just going through the motions. All these meetings they're having, so-called negotiations, try to come up with some sort of... it's just for the Russians to be able to, Putin's lot, just to be able to say that they've done this to their people, but they're not doing that. It's just like this tit for tat going on. It's just I just can't see an end game. I still think it's going to go in Putin's favour.
I mean, if he did set up a puppet government, I mean, not that they're analogous countries, but look at us in Afghanistan. We entered and the Taliban were in power. We stayed there and we suppressed it for 20 years. And we left them in power again. I'm sure one day Ukraine will be its own sovereign nation again. I mean, if Putin does overtake the entire country with troops, he's going to have to stay there and on an indefinite basis as long as he wants to suppress it. And, wow, that can only go on for so long.
Yeah. That's why I went to the economy and the hacking. It's not designed for this. It's not been... If you look at the way Germany set itself up in the 30s, it was a war economy that they set up in part, or a significant part of it. We were talking about motorways last week. That's why Germany built all the motorways. From what we can tell from all the records and what we've seen, the motorways were built for the military. They weren't necessarily built for the population. I think the population were a side thing. They haven't done that in Russia. They've got one motorway. How do you set anything up like that? The economy will just continue to collapse. I haven't even opened up the stock market in about 2-3 weeks. How do you operate a country like that? And that's why I think the hacking is going to continue. He can't. That will be a new level of guerrilla warfare that he won't be able to handle because they've hacked in satellites, banks, the secret services, Kremlin archives. I mean, they're just everywhere, and it's
40,000 records, didn't they? They floated 40,000 records from the archives.
Just
some of it be relevant, but there'll be a lot of stuff there. They've actually put an appeal out to the people, say anyone there who can read this stuff, because obviously we can't deal with it all. And is there anything interesting amongst all these records?
Then imagine what all the secret services across Europe and America are going to do with all that info.
Yeah,
they're going to be loving this. So again, you just go, there'll be other weak points. Japan have just stuck out a claim for some of the islands in the north, according to a couple of reports I read. I mean, I'll take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, and those islands have been fought over between Japan and Russia for over 100 years. And it's like, right, well, that to me would suggest that Japan's looking at this and going, Russia's weak. Why don't we just, continue sticking on our claim there? Obviously, Japan doesn't have a military, but, a significantly large military, but if they're confident enough to go and lay claim to some islands off the north that they've been fighting over for 100 years.
No. We don't want Japan making claims over islands again. Let's not go down that road. But just on the thing of Ukraine, just on the end game of Ukraine, when it comes to, like, if we compare it with Afghanistan, I think there's a big difference with the way the West was. The West was, yes, did not really. They went in, they held ground for a bit, and then they left, and it was as if they had never been there, basically, because the Taliban had just taken over again. But the West wasn't the West poured trillions of dollars into Afghanistan. Russia can't do that.
It's just your meal.
Yes, but it
disappeared.
Yeah, and then the problem for Russia is that their economy wouldn't be able to support that. So I think, and I've been speaking to some people maybe here on Discord about this. It seems I'm of the impression that what Putin wants to do is he just wants to get to Kiev, get somebody in, even if just for a couple of days, claim victory, and then get the hell out. And it will be and destroy everything around it. And it's about propaganda at home. So he has to say, look, we succeeded. The public won't know any different. And I think it's and his goal is just to get there. Because he can't hold it. He can try and put a puppet government in, but they're not going to be respected. They're not going to be there's going to be a continuous battle against them. But he has to claim some sort of victory. What they've done, I think it's in, I don't remember which city in the east. They've already replaced the mayor. They kidnapped the mayor. The Russians kidnapped the mayor.
Was it Melipol?
Maybe it was Manipal. And they've replaced the mayor with their own guy. So we'll have to keep an eye on that to see how that goes, because how will the public respond to that?
He'll just get whacked. I mean, one of the things I thought was quite curious, and is part of American reasoning for everyone being armed, is you flood that country full of guns, everyone's armed. That guy, whoever they replaced the mayor of Maripol with, he's going to have a cross on his back, because they're just going to go, right, either if he's Ukrainian, he's a collaborator, if he's Russian, then he's a target. Either way, he's gone. They will take him out, guarantee it. And it's almost like, so what's the point in putting all these leaders in if they're just going to continually get whacked? I don't care how good the Russian security service is. It is not going to be in a position to control a state that size that's now armed to the teeth. I slightly wish that they'd announced in Ukraine earlier the right to bear arms and just started, a year beforehand, just loading everyone up and training everyone how to use a firearm. Because that then turns controlling that state into a complete nightmare.
Like Switzerland.
I think the Swiss aren't allowed ammunition. Is that correct? They can only have
a sealed canister of ammunition, and then annually someone will actually come round to your house and check that you still have the sealed canister.
Interesting.
I believe.
Yeah.
I just want to read out some super chats. We got one from Cahill. Thanks so much, Cahill. And we've got another one. Cahill says, morning all. And Jerry Watson, thanks so much, Jerry, who says, how long can Russia live? Whoops, sorry, it moved. How long can Russia live in a North Korean economy? How long can Russia live in a North Korean economy where there is starvation, literal starvation? I think, these sanctions, the sanctions have just been imposed and the economy is pretty much collapsed. We haven't even seen the real impact of these sanctions yet.
I mean, ironically, they were supporting North Korea. I mean, I went to North Korea a few years ago, and they have a whole state philosophy which they call Juche, which is this idea of basically national self-reliance. That it is insular. Everything functions internally, basically. But as is clearly demonstrable,
like John Redwood's mentality.
Yeah, but as is clearly demonstrable, it doesn't work. Maybe a much larger country like Russia may fare better, but it's, if I mean, other than China, if most people are refusing to trade with you, it's going to take a toll.
True. Also, sorry.
No, go ahead.
But also, you think like North Korea, obviously a lot of their components, parts, stuff that they use even in their military, and then obviously their arms, it's all coming from China. Russia's already got a good alliance with China already, so they'll just be important from China. But it's definitely got to take a toll. Like I said earlier, you got this circular economy going on.
But also,
how's that going to work?
Yeah, and Xi Jinping hasn't been as there for Putin as he might have hoped. I don't think.
He's protecting his Western interests.
Yeah. Well, they abstained on the Security Council vote, didn't they? I mean, meaningless as that is, but
well, it's a statement, isn't it?
It is a statement, yeah.
We have another question from number 3. Thanks so much for that super chat. What happens when Ukraine is yesterday's news? Alex, do you want to respond to that?
I don't think it can be. Vietnam never was. This is on our doorstep. So Vietnam is always there, and the media could get inside and film it. We've got something even better than that. Literally, everyone's got their own personal CCTV camera with their phone, which they can knock out. This is new. This is many parallels with many different wars, and I would say I can't say it happening. As soon as an atrocity happens, that'll be front page news. As soon as a mayor gets whacked, that'll be front page news. As soon as the new president gets targeted and killed, or a bomb attempts thrown on them, that's saying if it collapses, it'll be front page news. And Zelensky's very good at his propaganda and putting it out and going, "Hey, I'm here. I'm in the street." Or, I don't know if it's him or if he's got a very good writer, but whoever's doing that is exceptionally good at getting his messages across and putting 2 fingers up at the Russians, but also grabbing media attention. So I can't see it happening. I mean, I know how fickle the modern society is, but with news, but I just don't see it ending. Sorry, you were going to say track record.
There was this really interesting Vox video actually, sort of tracking through his career, and you were saying about him, rather than sort of having kind of all these polished media appearances, just him and his cell phone, and that's pretty much how his campaign began. And actually, kind of the conclusion was that the way he's been is
we're losing you.
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. Okay. Don't know how much of that you got.
About his media campaign. So he basically is with his mobile phone filming himself.
Yes, exactly. That's how he started, and now he went away from that, and now he's actually back to that again, which seems to be a strength for him.
Yeah, he comes across as somebody very authentic and not polished, and I like to contrast that with Putin, who's sitting at this infinitely long table and sitting on an iron throne. I was going to say a golden throne. So he's the polar opposite of so distant from the people, while Zelensky is so down on the ground, and a lot of the videos he does are outside, and he films outside with the palace behind him, or the government buildings behind him, to show, like, look, I'm still here, I'm not hiding away. And I think I didn't actually notice, but I saw something on Twitter about how if you look at Putin's room, there are no windows. I don't know if that's true or not. And the table has, we lost all shorts. Hopefully we get him back.
Hopefully he'll be back.
There's the table, it's like there's a huge amount of space between it, so it's not easy to hide something under it.
Lost everyone. Am I?
No, you're still here. Yeah. Simon is still there. Yes.
I'm here.
I think we just lost all shorts.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just playing my video.
You're a disembodied voice.
I am. I'm disembodied.
Every time this happens, can we just blame Putin?
Yes.
That's Putin.
We'll just say we obviously must be doing a good thing here with all this great stuff.
That's better.
We're going to be on our own version of you have no.
I just realised I was on the wrong camera, so I just swapped it over.
Good work.
Guys, I'd like to move on a little bit. We have a few topics I'd like to cover. I think very important, of course, at the moment is the cost of living crisis and the response from the UK government towards that. We've heard so there was some news about how this loan that was a loan that's been enforced is going to be doubled from £200 to £400. Considering that most people, the reaction from most people is that they don't want this loan because it's something that will have to be paid back. It's not actually helping people. What's your reaction to the approach the UK government has taken to dealing with the cost of living crisis?
Well, it's different to France, put like that.
But
Here in France, sorry.
I was just going to say your inflation's only at 3%.
3.8% in France compared to the UK. But last time I looked in January, it was 5.4 in the UK. But it's probably a lot more than that, I'd have thought now. And the way they work their inflation in the UK is a little bit deceptive anyway. It's probably getting towards near the United States, I'd have thought. But we're here in France, how our government responds to poverty or people, people struggling, what they do is give you money. For instance, we've already had money come straight into our account from the French government via our tax account, and in January we had 200 each go into our accounts, and we're now coming up to what we call the energy check. That the one we got in January was a special one. That was for to cope with the increase in inflation, even though it's a lot lower in the UK. But that was really low inflation in France. It's well under 2%. In fact, that's too low. It's like 1 point. That's about 1%. But so they put money directly into our account in January. But then by the end of this month, we get another one called the energy check, which we get every year, and that'll be €240. I'm talking, sorry. And that goes straight into our energy account. In this case, it gets offset against our EDF bill. So it's not because we're on any special needs or anything like that. It's just how it is. You get this energy check. So it's
I think
chalk and cheese.
Max, you said that in the EU there's some sort of special financing going on.
Oh, we're losing you a bit, Alex. Sorry, guys, for all these problems today. There seems to be different connection problems. Okay, we got you back, Alex. Say again.
I was saying that I think you mentioned to me that in the EU they've got a special program going on at the moment with paying for free, full cost, plus 10% to redevelop your house so it's energy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like a zero, a carbon zero policy, but there is an attempt to move away from to increase energy efficiency. So, for example, the government. So what you basically do here in Italy is you apply for what's called the 110, which is 110%, which means that they will cover up to 110% of the cost of something. So this extra 10% is like, if there's like when you, for example, replacing windows, replacing a boiler, putting on better insulation, and the 10% is to cover if if prices go up or if there's a problem that something has to be replaced, so that you can have new windows, new boiler, new insulation put in for free, completely free. This grant.
We've got a similar scheme in France,
but
they have installation done for €1.
Yeah. And it's this is funded from the European Union, yes.
But we can actually say we'd be better off in the EU right now for energy and saving money. Interestingly, there was something I've been advocating for my dad to do to his property for quite a while now, for about 3 years. Does it include shutters? We're getting hotter, and there was even a rumour that we're going to get hit with a 28 centigrade weather front in April, so we're going to have a heat wave. But does that include shutters? That program to keep the houses cool, or does that not?
They're considered in France now.
Yeah, it's a bit different for the UK. You've got a bit of a problem in the UK. Your windows open outwards.
Yeah.
Our windows open inwards.
Yeah. I've had the privilege of living in Sicily for a year.
Oh,
So got to experience a lovely lifestyle and a very different lifestyle. But yeah, that is one of the bigger problems. And it's interesting because in the Victorian period, I think there was actually a period of putting shutters on windows and being a bit more European. And then it sort of died out and has never been replaced.
Yeah, but that was generally on the ground floor. They'd have they're made for security, and they'd be put on the outside of the building.
Yeah.
I actually forgotten about that. That windows in Ireland as well and in the UK open out. They don't open in.
I bought it.
We lost. We keep losing all shorts. Okay.
Brexit. And
okay.
That's it. Okay. How are you gonna close your shutters? As I say. What do you mean? Well, your windows open outwards. What? What, you got any wooden shutters on his window? Oh god. Might be one that you stick them on the outside of the walls just to make the houses look pretty.
I've seen that. That exists in my hometown in Oxford. Yeah. You see that quite frequently. It's more ornamental than anything else, and we don't have balconies either. No. Like you just don't see those. But I'm sort of going. I'm saying to my dad, maybe you should put some shutters up. You may even want to consider putting in a balcony because it's going to get hot. You might as well take advantage of it while you can. But yeah, no, interesting. We've got a big problem with the cost of living here. Big problem. And there was a report on the 7th of March. Did anyone read that?
No.
From the House of Commons? No, I guess everyone's getting past it. It's the Ukrainian war, but basically they've come out and they actually blame Brexit. They said
really?
Yeah.
Very quietly.
Brexit. Came out.
The ONS figures pretty much blame Brexit as well.
Yeah. Everyone's blaming Brexit.
They said the was Office of Budget Responsibility said it was twice as bad for the economy as COVID.
Yeah, so,
I mean that's quite an own goal, isn't it?
And it's also permanent. It's not like with COVID. Well, we get over it eventually.
Well, with the Brexit, sir.
And now you've got Ukraine, and everyone's going, well, maybe we shouldn't separate from Europe and make everything harder for ourselves.
Apologies. We keep having technical problems. I just want to say thanks to Dr. Johan for that super chat and Alexis G. Thanks so much for that super chat as well.
I was going to say, I mean, my the first video on my channel was basically just about the long-term end game of Brexit, and that's kind of one of the conclusions that I drew is that, as much as Brexiteers would like, geography is a thing. And the EU will always need to be one of our largest trading partners. And as long as you are erecting barriers, you will be doing yourself harm. So, I just think that in 20, 30, 40 years, when Brexit stops being such a political hot button issue, we're just going to end up like Switzerland, basically. We'll just sort of piece by piece reintegrate to the single market, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But what about cheese and Tam Tams?
I do like Tim Tams. You ever had a Tim Tam?
What they are?
Are they like penguins?
Yeah, they're basically Australian penguins, but if you get Tim Tams, they'll all have been worth it.
But I think we're also forgetting that in the Brexiteer mindset, it's not the UK putting up barriers, it's the EU putting up barriers.
Very petty of them.
Yes. It's an attempt to punish the UK for leaving. We're going to put up barriers specifically.
But that's just an admittance that the idea of leaving the EU was a bad idea.
It's
by saying they've been punished for that.
Churlish of them to not consider it exempt from the rules.
Is anyone aware of any newspapers from Ireland reporting about British government putting pressure on the Irish government to seal up its borders? There's so many little stories that have skipped through the.
Yeah, did he meet up with him this week? Boris Johnson.
I didn't see that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think there's Boris Johnson is in Dublin to watch a rugby match, and he met with the Irish Taoiseach before the rugby match to talk about the protocol, but also allegedly to talk about the borders. So for people who don't know, it seems that Priti Patel, or at least her department, was very angry with the Irish government because the Irish government was willing to let in more refugees than the UK did, and they were saying, well, it'd be a security concern because these refugees could just jump on a ferry and come to Britain without
Are you
a
talking about all the
visa.
1-year-olds?
Yeah,
Yeah, little babies.
But
they're the biggest
suicide bombers.
concern.
Coming in to steal your job.
But if they're rich Russian oligarchs connected to Putin, they're top notch. And if you say anything bad, you're Russian phobic.
Michael
the
Gove,
Italians are very good hand gestures for annoyance.
Lebedev.
yeah, Michael Gove was defending Lebedev.
Lord Lebedev.
Lord. We remember he's a lord. Okay.
Do you know what he's the lord of?
Siberia.
I mean, we can make many degrading comments, but does anyone know what he's the lord of? That's pretty interesting because no.
I was thinking lord of one like a twin town or something. I don't know, twin city, twin. Or something. I don't know.
Lord of Hampton upon I think, and apologies for anyone who lives there. Lord of Hampton on Thames, and Lord of Siberia.
Oh my god!
And you can only be Lord of Siberia if you get permission from Vladimir Putin.
Oh, for God's sake, really?
Can't make it up, can you?
I can't. No.
Oh.
If I put this into a book, I mean, House of Cards does not hold a candle on this. No one will watch my movie if I did a movie on this because they go, "This is absurd." But they're like Russian oligarchs, great with connections to Putin, but Ukrainians running away from war. I'd love to ask as well.
Alex, these are people who are contributing to British society. It's not donations. It's contributing to British society. That's the official line. We're having technical problems again. The Putin.
There was a brilliant quote from I think it was I'm paraphrasing, but it was the guy who wrote the thick of it. And then someone said to him, "What one you do a Brexit special?" And he kind of went, "Well, because the absurdity of Brexit has surpassed the show. You know, you can't parody it because it's."
So I'd like to move on to another topic. Simon, can you tell us? So I think a big problem in the UK at the moment is the political system and the voting system. So the Tories won an 80-seat majority back in 2019, even though they didn't increase their vote to represent that. People will point to first past the post, and this being the problem. What could be an alternative to first past the post?
Well, the alternative is something called proportional representation, and when you say proportional representation, you're talking about lots of different things. There are many forms of proportional representation, but the broad idea is that the pie chart of how your population votes is represented in Parliament. You know, which is how you'd think it would work if you were designing a democracy from the ground up. You know, and one of the big arguments used against it is, you lose the local representation, but that's not true for most forms of PR. So, for instance, Ireland uses something called single transferable vote. Germany uses something called the mixed member system. But, you know, I don't think it's talked about enough because I think a lot of the issues we're having in this country are due to the fact that we have an absolute majority Conservative government of 44% of the vote. And every bad thing they're able to do, the first port of call should be, right, why were they able to do that without a majority consensus? You know, so I mean, it's not a be-all solution, but I think it is the root of so many issues, and it's not nearly discussed enough. You know, I mean, a prime example is the people's vote. You know, the nation voted by a majority for parties in favour of a second referendum, but we supposedly got an overwhelming mandate to leave. You know, and the reason this happens is because rather than conducting our elections as a national competition, we do it as basically 650 individual winner-takes-all competitions. And what this means is that third parties get utterly removed from the equation. I mean, I'm a Liberal Democrat, and I went to the ballot at the last election knowing I had two options: vote for Labour or throw my vote in the bin. You know, and it's a wretched place to be. So yeah, we badly need to change it. You know, there's a campaign group called Make Votes Matter, who are doing a lot. You know, I'd suggest people check them out. But yeah, it's one of the most important issues facing our democracy today.
Why do you think that the Labour Party have not taken it on board?
Well, to be cynical, electoral maths. They are. So at the Labour Party conference this year, I think. So historically, Labour have always benefited from first past the post. Now it's starting to tip away from that, and the reason for that is the left is becoming more fragmented, and that leads to something called the spoiler effect, which means that Labour are increasingly looking at PR. Now, they had a motion at the conference, and I think something like 80% of members voted in favour of PR, but then it was the way Labour internal politics is set up, it was killed by the unions. Which the goal to winning PR is the Conservatives will never do it. You need to get Labour to back it, and that's a maybe. But then you need to get another party, probably the Liberal Democrats, maybe the Greens, holding the balance of power in order to coerce them to do it. Because I think Tony Blair even said he would put in place proportional representation, and then got elected on the back of first past the post, and then decided it was brilliant, which is what Trudeau did in Canada. Trudeau should not be Prime Minister. He's the wrong winner Prime Minister, and he'd committed to PR, reneged on it, and then got in place because of first past the post for a second term.
I think that's a big problem that members, party leaders will say, yeah, I'm supportive of PR, and then end up benefiting from first past the post, and then it's put back in the cupboard for a few years.
Yeah.
Alex, Allshorts, do you want to say something about that?
I'll let Allshorts go first.
Well, I think track record probably covered it, but I think the fact of the matter is that whoever's in power is going to try to protect whatever put them in power. Yeah. And it's not going to change. It's just not going to change unless it started that way from the ground up. Yeah, they say from the ground up. As what you expect from some sort of from a democracy, but as it stands, it's not going to change. I just can't see it changing ever. Whoever gets in power, they're just going to maintain. That will put them there.
I'd change it if I got in power.
Yeah, but you might be a decent. They're not.
And I'm not, and it's not going to happen.
Okay.
But if I did, I'd change it. But I'd change it. So I would just scrap the House. I wouldn't scrap the House of Lords. I'd keep the House of Lords, and that would be PR. So when you go and do your vote in the local representatives, your vote still counts, and it goes and elects someone in the second chamber. And the reason I'd have a second chamber, and you'd have the Lords and the Commons, and the bill has to go through both at the same time, puts a check on the power in the Commons. At the moment, from my perspective, Commons has way too much power. Way too much. There's no checks and balances.
Oh, damn it, we're losing Political X again.
I'll be back in a moment.
Apologies, everyone, for these technical problems.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, you're back.
Awesome. So what did you last hear about the
Commons has way too much power.
Commons has way too much power. You've got the executive and you've got the legislative all together. So that's the Commons and the PM together, all on one side, and there's very little anyone else can do. And that's why we were talking about Lebedev earlier. This article's already come out today. Johnson's run roughshod over the House of Lords and forced Lebedev in. And the House of Lords said no, MI6 said no, yeah. MI5 said no, HMRC probably didn't give a green light, but a red. So you're looking at this and going, right, well, he can just ignore people. He can pass whatever legislation he wants. There will be committees that can check this to an extent, but we can see that he doesn't. I mean, some of the stuff they pass through is abhorrent, like protesting. But the reason you'd have two chambers, we can then have a proper constitution that's codified. And it would require, you'd set it up so both chambers have to pass for that constitution to change. So you can have freedom of speech and everything else. But that also means there's an extra check that comes from it. Because once you've got a constitution, the Supreme Court can go, well, does your law override our right to protest? And if it does, well, we just refer to the Constitution and go, oh, well, you can't do that. You can't put in a piece of legislation saying you've got to have a quiet protest. So I'd utterly reform the system, but I'd still allow certain powers to be kept in the Commons, like the over money, something like the budget. That needs to be quick and sharp. But the other thing is, and this is historical, Germany and Italy had the proportional representation systems, and they got deadlocked. And that deadlock caused a lot of anger, frustration, and an economic downturn that led to fascism and other problems. And that's why I'm a bit hesitant to go full proportional, even though I can see modern day, not as bad as the 1930s, but we've seen populism on the rise.
Sorry. Going back to the House Lords, some of them people in the Lords, they don't even vote. Lebedev, he's only turned up 3 times. He hadn't even voted once yet.
Nope.
Well, he voted once right at the beginning.
Oh, did he?
That's it. So why are they there? It should be based on your contribution, and if you don't maintain the contribution, you should lose your position. Yeah, out the door. Gone.
Yeah.
I mean, on your point about the proportional representation leading to deadlock, I mean, I'm so the Electoral Reform Society state their preference, and then I agree with them, which is single transferable vote, which is what they use in Ireland. Now, the thing about single transferable vote is it's pretty proportional, but not completely proportional. But the key thing is that nobody's vote is wasted. So even if you don't get your first choice, your vote will endlessly transfer until it lands with a candidate that achieves your representation. So it negates the deadlock issue while removing the spoiler effect.
So the only reason I'd still go for the Lords being proportional over that, because they then get to secure the Constitution, and that's the difference. Because right now the Commons can pass anything with a simple majority. As soon as they've got a majority, anything can be passed and gone over. Now there's arguments over that. The Supreme Court have said if Commons tries to get rid of habeas corpus, we'll fight them tooth and nail. That's not legal. Now, they've not said that directly in a court case, but it's definitely been inferred that actually Supreme Court have powers over the Commons. But we can see they've gone over that. And that's why I'd have a second chamber. And then I'd say you'd have to have a referendum to change any statute within the codified constitution. I think it'd be a vote winner as well, having certain things guaranteed. Freedom of speech and protest and all the other bits and pieces that go along with it. Don't know what anyone else thinks about a constitution.
I definitely like the idea of having a written constitution that the Supreme Court can rely on or can look to.
Constitution.
Whether it's the idea that the Home Secretary can't just ban protests in this what's happening at the moment. I just want to say one thing, and then I'd like to move on to just our final topic for today. My concern also is that maybe one reason the Labour Party aren't supporting proportional representation is that many MPs are sitting in safe seats, and that would likely change. You probably agree with me on that, yeah. Okay.
Wrote to them.
Alex, what's happening with Trump?
Always fun.
Oh, that is fun. He's in deep. He's in deep trouble. He's being sued by New York State for tax evasion, which he bragged about. Can't make this up. One of the chambers in Congress, the House of Representatives, have done a committee, and they've come out and they've confirmed he's committed. He's tried to overturn an election. Now, the House of Representatives, it's only a committee. They cannot prosecute, but they can pass it on to the Department of Justice to then execute decisions and then investigate further, which means that the FBI could be chasing after him in the very near future. But there is a problem with that, which is how acceptable is it for a president to chase a former president for breaking the law? But he's also being sued by Smartmatic. He's being, which is the firm that did all the voting machines. They're suing him for defamation. and we're talking billions.
Oh, right, crazy.
Oh, we're losing you again. I don't know if political exit. Okay, yeah, we got you back. Yeah, so he's been sued for billions by the company who produced the machines.
Smartmatic and someone else. I always forget the other person. Dominion, yeah.
Wonderful name.
Okay.
Smartmatic sounds like a heater, doesn't it?
So yeah, what does everyone else think about Trump? Do you think his days are numbered now that they've confirmed it in the House of Representatives?
I just want to say some. Yeah, I just want to say something, and then let the other guys jump in. I think you raised a point about how the current president doesn't want to be seen going after a former president, and that could be something that could save Trump on one side. But I think if private companies are going after him, they could bankrupt him again, and I think that could. I see that my problem with all of this is that he still holds a certain amount of support within the country, fanatical support, and these people, I haven't been following U.S. politics really, but I've noticed that outlets like Fox News are doubling down on Trump's the election was stolen, and Trump is trying to restore America, and Biden is destroying the country, and then there's this issue of gas prices and the economy. I haven't been following it, but I'm concerned that even considering all the cases that are against him, he could still run again, and he could still win again.
Potentially, yeah, unfortunately. I mean, he got, 75 million votes? After all of that, he's still got 75 million votes, and you're just like, what's it going to take for these people to wake up and realize that he's not interested in them, he's not interested in being their savior, he is not interested in making America great again. He has got some warped delusion over power and the use of it. I mean, he strong-armed the Ukraine, which is something I think a lot of people have skipped over and forgotten about in order to win an election. And then when he doesn't win, he then has a tantrum in front of a massive crowd and sends them off to go and attack Congress. He can't write this stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't see his own party reprimanding him. They are so sort of, he's so embedded deep in their psyche. I don't see the Republicans going, nah, mate, we're going to pick. They may pick someone else, but I don't see them ever calling him out for being untruthful. Ever.
He set two brand new precedents for an impeachment. So one, he got impeached twice. The second impeachment was the Senate had loads of Republicans turn on him. It was only, I think, 57-43, which is enough to convict because you need 2/3 to convict the president. That's never happened before. No, it's normally divided on party lines. So no one's been impeached before because no one's been able to get 2/3 in the Senate. So for that to happen, that's massive. But as you also said, I agree with this as well, what's it going to take for a senator to charge a guy who's literally sent a mob to go and lynch them and kill them? I just don't get where that line has been drawn and why they think they should save him.
All Shorts, just ask All Shorts to jump in and then ask Simon.
Well, water is incredibly wet in the standpoint of water. That's what he said. Besides, and also, didn't he just have almost have a plane crash because his engines failed recently on one of his little journeys? I think it's come from retreat from New Orleans. But these people are just so embedded in them. It's just kind of like, you're not going to change them, are you? It's support. You just got to see read what they write on Twitter. And what was that? Is a parlay? That's back online now, isn't it?
No, we've lost.
We've lost him.
All Shorts. Oh,
Putin.
now he's back. Just on that point, Ministerian sends us a super chat. William, I think it's William Barr said that he'd vote Trump because the Democrats are evil. Evil.
It's the satanic pizza
thing.
Did I disappear?
Yeah, you disappeared for a moment, but now we can see you again.
Okay, it just went off and on.
If you need to nip off to the bathroom, just let us know before.
No, I've already been. I've got my pad.
So
Don't you use them?
Not that long the stream, is it?
It's called streaming, isn't it? But yeah,
But let's maybe have a vote before we finish for today. The idea, maybe not thumbs up, but do you think Trump is going to run again in 2024?
Hasn't he already said he's going to?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he'll run. Yeah. His ego won't let him not.
Is he going to win in 2024?
I don't care. It's just fun watching him, isn't it?
Don't say that. No. It's an old video of John Oliver, like long before 2016, with Trump talking about running, where he goes, "Do it." Honestly, it'd be so funny. Do it.
Yeah.
That worked out really well.
We need some more material, don't we?
Yeah, that's another 2 years of. Yeah, I reckon.
Shock and horror.
I reckon, yeah, a lot of that as well. I reckon wait until the midterms, then I'll make a prediction. See what happens and see how the public are really feeling about everything, because it's quite mixed over there at the moment.
Well, at one point, his daughter's going to run, wasn't she? At one point.
Ivanka?
Ivanka, also Ivanka, something like that, you know. But she was going to run at some point, but I don't know what's around the corner with him. He's erratic, isn't he?
Yeah,
when I read that his plane engine stopped, I got excited for a moment, but then I realised he's still alive.
Not to speak ill of anyone, but
I'll make an exception here.
Okay, guys.
The other thing is he's such a. When he first announced, everyone went ha ha ha, yeah, good one, and then 6 months later, he won, and I just
Sounds like Brexit.
I can't predict. I think he'll run. Whether or not he would succeed again, I really don't know.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would now. I think people had a taste of him now. They know how wet the water is. So it's
but
just
more people voted for him in his second election than his first one. So it's So there were like God knows how many million people that witnessed the last sort of 4 years and went, yeah, I want more of that.
But I think it was COVID that saved Biden, because if it hadn't have happened, I think he would have lost to Trump. It was because it was in a sense a rebellion against Trump. And I've always said this: it's you don't vote for the president. You don't vote for the candidate. You vote either for or against the incumbent, the current president. And it was a vote against Trump, not so much a vote for Biden. So, guys, I want to say thanks to our guests, All Shorts and Simon. Thanks so much for coming on today. Sorry, I thought there was another super chat. Sorry there. Thanks so much for coming on today. Thanks for coming on for our Sunday brunch. Hopefully we'll see you guys again soon. Do you want to say anything about your channels before we finish? I've posted a link in the I've posted a link to both of your channels in the description, guys. So check that out.
Well, those of you who don't know me, go on. You first.
I kind of said it at the beginning, but yeah, if anyone's interested, go check it out. I've got a sort of a deep dive into the NHS coming up soon, and then another travel video where I'll be looking at Greece's Nazi party called the Golden Dawn. We'll actually go to Greece. So yeah, if anyone's interested, subscribe and have a look.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's been really good fun.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. So I'll see you all next Sunday at the same time for our Sunday brunch. Take care, and I'll see you, the rest of you, on Tuesday for our live stream. Thanks a lot. Good night. Good afternoon.